It gives us life, warmth, and light. But it also holds the power to erase everything we've ever known. The sun isn't just a star. It's a living inferno, raging with storms that could end civilization in a heartbeat. Every sunrise hides a secret. Every ray of light, a silent threat traveling millions of miles through space. For billions of years, it has watched us grow, waiting patiently for its final act. And when that moment comes, the same fire that gave us life will be the one that takes it away. The heart of the solar system. Why the sun is more dangerous than it seems. Imagine this. The very thing that gives us life could also be the greatest threat to our existence. The sun, our celestial furnace, is not the peaceful golden orb you see in the sky. It's a raging nuclear beast. Every second, it releases more energy than humanity has ever produced in its entire history. It's a star in perfect balance, but even a slight change could spell disaster. At first glance, the sun seems like our friend. It nurtures life, gives us warmth, and powers our planet's cycles. But beneath its surface lies a violent, unstable force, capable of wiping out everything we know. Its light sustains us, but that same light is a byproduct of chaotic nuclear fusion, a reaction so intense it could never exist safely on Earth. Deep within its core, the sun's pressure is unimaginable. Atoms collide with such force that hydrogen becomes helium, releasing energy beyond comprehension. Yet this perfect balance is fragile. A tiny shift in fusion rate could make the sun flare uncontrollably, scorching our world in moments. Humanity's entire existence depends on a calm star that doesn't even know we exist. Scientists call it a ticking clock of cosmic power. The sun doesn't care about life. It simply burns. Its only goal, if it can be said to have one, is to convert matter into energy until nothing remains. Every sunrise is a reminder that we live on borrowed time, orbiting a monster of plasma. Still, its light feels gentle, its warmth reassuring. That's the illusion that makes it so terrifying. Because while we see beauty, inside it's chaos. Storms that could swallow Earth whole, magnetic fields twisting in violence. The sun is calm only because it's unimaginably powerful. Its energy radiates across space, carrying the seeds of both creation and destruction. Without it, Earth would be a frozen wasteland drifting through darkness. With it, we thrive, but only as long as it allows. Our planet's delicate balance depends on forces billions of times greater than anything we can control. For billions of years, this cosmic equilibrium has held. But what if it didn't? What if one day the sun decided to unleash all the power it's been holding back? Scientists say it's not a question of if, but when. And when it happens, there will be no warning. The sun is the ultimate paradox, giver and destroyer, calm and chaos, creation and annihilation. It's the reason we exist, and the reason we'll eventually vanish. Because nothing escapes time, not even a star. But the real danger doesn't come from its size or brightness. It comes from something far more mysterious, a secret hidden within its layers, where the rules of physics begin to break. And it all starts deep inside, in a place where heat itself behaves in ways we still can't explain. The insane temperature of the solar core, and the mystery of the inverted corona. At the sun's core, temperatures reach 15 million degrees Celsius, hot enough to tear atoms apart and fuse them into new ones. Hydrogen atoms collide with such force that they become helium, releasing pure energy in the process. This is the engine that powers the entire solar system, a continuous explosion, perfectly contained by gravity. Yet, here's the cosmic riddle. As you move away from the core, it should get cooler, but it doesn't. The sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, is hundreds of times hotter than its surface. That defies logic and physics. How can the outer layers be more energetic than the source itself? Scientists have been chasing this mystery for decades. Some believe magnetic waves transfer hidden energy upward, superheating the corona. Others think tiny nanoflares constantly erupt, releasing unimaginable bursts of heat. But the truth is, we don't really know. The sun keeps its deepest secrets locked behind blinding light. NASA's Parker Solar Probe has ventured closer than any spacecraft in history, braving radiation and plasma storms just to touch the edge of the sun's atmosphere. Even then, the data it returns raises more questions than answers. The deeper we look, the stranger it becomes, as if the sun itself resists being understood. Why does it matter? Because this inverted heat could be the key to predicting solar flares and protecting Earth from their effects. A single miscalculation could mean disaster for satellites, power grids, and even life itself. Every unexplained burst of heat might be a warning we can't yet decipher. The corona extends millions of kilometers into space, shimmering like ghostly fire. It's what you see during a total solar eclipse, the haunting white halo that reminds us of the sun's untamed power. And even though it looks peaceful, it's anything but. It's a sea of violent, invisible energy. In that plasma chaos, magnetic fields twist and snap, creating storms that can hurl billions of tons of material into space. If one of those eruptions ever hits Earth directly, our planet's entire electrical civilization could vanish in seconds. And it all begins in this mysterious layer, the sun's fiery crown. It's ironic. The closer we get to understanding the sun, the more dangerous our knowledge becomes. Every discovery reveals how fragile our place in the solar system truly is. We orbit a star we barely comprehend, one capable of erasing us with a single pulse. As the Parker probe continues its journey, humanity watches and waits, because the next discovery might not just explain the sun, it might warn us of what's coming. And when that warning comes, it won't be light. It'll be a wave of destruction so powerful it could silence Earth itself. Coronal mass ejections, the explosions that could wipe out the Earth. Imagine the sun suddenly unleashing a storm so massive it could strip away our planet's magnetic shield. That's what happens during a coronal mass ejection, CME, a cosmic explosion that hurls billions of tons of plasma into space at millions of kilometers per hour. If one of those waves ever hits Earth directly, it could burn through our atmosphere and silence the modern world in seconds. These aren't just small bursts of light, they're oceans of fire. A single CME carries more energy than all the nuclear weapons ever created by humankind. When the sun's magnetic fields twist and snap, they release loops of plasma larger than entire planets. The result? A deadly solar tsunami racing across the void toward us. Earth's magnetic field usually protects us, deflecting charged particles. But that defense isn't perfect. A direct hit could fry satellites, disable global communications, and knock out power grids worldwide. In less than a minute, the world could plunge into silence. No internet, no navigation, no lights. Civilization, paused by a star. Scientists have recorded dozens of near misses. Each time, the Earth was just a few days or even hours away from catastrophe. We've been lucky so far. But statistically, it's only a matter of time before another CME heads our way, and this time, luck might not be enough to save us. During such an event, the auroras we love to watch would become terrifying. The skies over entire continents would glow blood red and emerald green as electromagnetic energy ripped through the atmosphere. Power transformers would melt, pipelines would spark, and planes would lose navigation in the dark. The most dangerous part? We can't stop it. Once the sun releases that energy, there's nothing we can do but watch it travel. A wave of destruction moving at the speed of space. Even with early warnings, the scale of damage could take decades to repair. It's not science fiction, it's space weather. And it's already happened. More than once, the sun has reminded us that it holds ultimate control. In the 19th century, a storm of unimaginable power struck Earth, long before satellites and the internet existed. If it happened today, it would collapse our entire infrastructure. We call that event Carrington, the day the sun showed us a glimpse of what it's capable of. And the strangest part? It didn't just damage the world, it set it on fire. The solar storm that almost destroyed us, the Carrington Event. It was the year 1859, and the world was still lit by candles and telegraphs. One quiet evening, astronomer Richard Carrington looked through his telescope and saw something impossible. Two blazing white flashes erupting on the sun's surface. Within hours, the Earth would be under attack. What followed was the most powerful solar storm in recorded history. Auroras painted the skies of Cuba, Hawaii, and even the Caribbean. People thought the world was ending as the night sky glowed like fire. Telegraph wires sparked and burned. Some operators were electrocuted, while their machines sent messages, without power. For 2 days, the world was engulfed in electromagnetic chaos. Compasses spun uncontrollably. The entire planet's magnetic field wavered under the assault of solar energy. And then, as suddenly as it came, the storm ended, leaving behind confusion, damage, and awe. Humanity had survived the sun's wrath, barely. If that same storm happened today, scientists estimate it would cause trillions of dollars in damage. Power grids across continents would fail, satellites would fall silent, GPS, internet, and communications gone, air travel grounded, stock markets frozen, hospitals in blackout, civilization brought to its knees by light. NASA simulations suggest a storm of Carrington magnitude could take 10 years to fully recover from, and there's no guarantee we'd rebuild everything the same way. Some regions might never recover at all. The sun could, in one burst, erase the progress of centuries. And here's the chilling truth. It nearly happened again. In 2012, a CME of Carrington-level strength missed Earth by just 9 days. If our planet had been slightly further along its orbit, you wouldn't be reading this. The digital world would have been plunged into silence, possibly for generations. It's humbling, isn't it? All our technology, our global connectivity, our satellites, everything we rely on, hangs by the thread of solar peace. The sun doesn't need malice to destroy us. All it takes is timing. Astronomers monitor the sun constantly, watching for the next flare, the next eruption, the next invisible wave that could end everything. And when they see one, they don't ask if it will happen again. They ask when. Because the sun's fury follows a pattern, a rhythm, a cycle as old as the stars themselves. Every 11 years, the sun's heartbeat accelerates, and when it does, the solar system holds its breath. The 11-year solar cycle, how the sun changes everything. Every 11 years, the sun's heartbeat quickens. Its magnetic fields twist, reverse, and surge with explosive power. This is the solar cycle, a cosmic rhythm that dictates when the sun will sleep and when it will rage. During its active phase, solar storms, flares, and radiation spikes increase dramatically, affecting everything from satellites to weather on Earth. At the peak of this cycle, the sun becomes a storm of energy. Massive flares burst from its surface, and coronal mass ejections become more frequent. These aren't random events. They're part of a predictable but unstoppable pattern that humanity has no control over. The sun follows its own clock, and we're just along for the ride. Scientists have discovered that these cycles don't just affect outer space, they influence life down here too. Increased solar activity has been linked to climate shifts, radio disruptions, and even power grid failures. Some studies suggest it might subtly affect human behavior and sleep patterns. It's as if the sun's rhythm echoes inside us. But here's the strange part. The sun is currently entering one of its most active phases in centuries. Solar flares are already increasing, and NASA has issued warnings about potential geomagnetic storms stronger than expected. It's as if the sun is waking up, and it's not in a gentle mood. The implications are staggering. With our growing dependence on technology, even a moderate solar event could cause chaos. Power grids, satellites, and navigation systems are all vulnerable. The stronger the solar cycle, the more unpredictable our world becomes. The sun's next heartbeat might be the one that hits us hardest, yet there's beauty in the chaos. The same storms that threaten us also create breathtaking auroras, curtains of light dancing across polar skies, powered by the sun's fury. Nature's warning signs disguised as beauty. The more violent the sun becomes, the more mesmerizing the skies grow. For centuries, ancient civilizations noticed this rhythm without understanding it. They recorded strange patterns in the heavens, believing gods were angry or celestial beasts were awakening. They weren't entirely wrong. Something powerful was stirring above them, following a pattern written in light and plasma. The modern world likes to think we've mastered nature, but the solar cycle humbles us. It reminds us that no matter how advanced we become, our existence still depends on a star's mood. When it flares, we tremble. When it rests, we rebuild. And that's the true danger: complacency. Because while we marvel at the sun's beauty, we forget its wrath. Every quiet sunrise could be the calm before the next solar storm. But what if one day the rhythm stopped, not flaring, not shining? What if the sun simply went dark? What would happen if the sun suddenly went dark? A minute-by-minute apocalypse. It's the most terrifying question imaginable. What if the sun just went out? No explosion, no warning, just darkness. Within the first 8 minutes, the light that left the sun, the last light, would reach Earth. And then, everything would change forever. In that instant, the world would go pitch black. The blue sky would vanish, replaced by an endless field of stars. Temperatures would plummet almost immediately, dropping below freezing within hours. The air would turn sharp and heavy as winds tore across the planet searching for lost warmth. Plants would die first. Without sunlight, photosynthesis would stop, and the oxygen balance would collapse. Within days, most of the food chain would begin to fail. In a week, global temperatures could fall below 70 degrees. Oceans would start to freeze from the top down, locking life beneath the ice. Humans would panic. Cities would glow faintly under emergency lights until fuel ran out. The world's power plants could run for a while, but even nuclear ones depend on supply chains that would soon crumble. Governments would fall silent, and survival would become the only goal. The warmth we take for granted would become humanity's greatest currency. Within a month, the surface of Earth would resemble a frozen wasteland. The atmosphere would condense, turning into icy fog. Only those deep underground or near geothermal vents could survive, for a while. The planet would still orbit the sun's corpse, moving in silence through a black abyss. But the real horror isn't the cold, it's the darkness. The human brain isn't built for endless night. Days would blend into each other. Time would lose meaning. The psychological collapse would be as deadly as the freezing air. Earth would become a tomb, drifting around a dead star. And yet, scientists believe that even if the sun died, its memory would linger. Its gravity would still hold us in orbit for millions of years. We'd continue circling an invisible center, a ghost star that once gave us life. The last reminder of what we once had. The irony is haunting. The light that keeps us alive is also what blinds us to our fragility. The sun's death may be billions of years away, but imagining it reveals the truth. We exist only because one star burns at just the right pace, a fragile equilibrium between creation and destruction. And as terrifying as a dark sun may sound, there's something even more violent waiting for us in the future. Because one day, it won't fade quietly. It will explode in fury. And when that day comes, the sun's fire won't just vanish. It will consume everything in its path. Solar flares. The power of 1,000 nuclear bombs in seconds. Every few days, the sun erupts in a flash of unimaginable energy. A solar flare, bright enough to outshine the rest of the solar system for a moment. These explosions release as much energy as 1 billion hydrogen bombs, and they happen in less time than it takes to blink. For a few seconds, the sun becomes a weapon of pure light. Solar flares are not just bursts of brightness. They're violent magnetic storms twisting through plasma. When magnetic lines on the sun's surface snap and reconnect, the result is chaos, heat, radiation, and electromagnetic shockwaves that ripple across space at nearly the speed of light. And when they're aimed at Earth, we have almost no time to react. NASA categorizes flares into classes: C, M, and the terrifying X class, the most powerful of them all. An X-class flare can knock out satellites, distort radio waves, and even endanger astronauts aboard the International Space Station. In extreme cases, they can penetrate Earth's atmosphere, charging our skies with deadly energy. In 2003, a record-breaking X-45 flare struck Earth, the strongest ever observed. It overloaded sensors and temporarily blinded satellites. Astronauts had to take shelter behind radiation shields, and power grids braced for impact. We survived that one, but only barely. Scientists still call it the Halloween storm. The most terrifying part? Solar flares can't be predicted with precision. They can erupt any time without warning. Even a 1-minute delay in detection could make the difference between protection and catastrophe. It's like living next to a volcano that doesn't sleep, and that we can't move away from. When a flare happens, the particles it releases race toward Earth. Some bounce off our magnetic field, but others slip through, interacting with the atmosphere in eerie ways. They ignite the skies with auroras, yes, but also distort communication, GPS, and even flight systems. The beauty hides the danger. Astronomers often describe the sun as alive. It breathes, pulses, and lashes out like a living thing. Each flare feels like a heartbeat, a reminder of its unstable nature. We depend on its calmness, yet that calm is temporary, because for every quiet sunrise, there's a storm building beneath the surface. What makes solar flares especially dangerous is their connection to coronal mass ejections. Sometimes, a flare triggers a deadly 1-2 punch of light and plasma. The first wave disables systems, the second destroys them. That combination could end global communication in hours. We tend to think of space as silent, but when a flare hits Earth, it screams. Radio waves distort, compasses spin, and the very air seems to tremble. Humanity's most advanced machines become useless. And yet, the sun keeps shining, unaware of the chaos it causes. But even when the flares end, the danger doesn't fade, because the sun sends us something far more insidious, something we can't see or feel. Invisible, silent, and constant. It touches every living thing on Earth, and it's far more dangerous than you think. The invisible radiation that the sun sends every day, and how it affects us without us. Knowing every moment, without pause, the sun bombards Earth with a river of invisible energy. Ultraviolet light, X-rays, and high-energy particles stream toward us at the speed of light. Most of it never reaches the ground, but some of it slips through, brushing against our skin, altering our cells, and shaping life itself. This radiation is a paradox. It's the reason we can live and the reason we must hide. A few minutes under sunlight gives us vitamin D, strengthens bones, and powers ecosystems. But stay too long, and it mutates DNA, burns skin, and triggers diseases. The same rays that sustain us can destroy us molecule by molecule. Our atmosphere and magnetic field are the only shields standing between us and certain death. The ozone layer filters out the deadliest ultraviolet radiation, while Earth's magnetosphere deflects charged particles from solar winds. Without these invisible barriers, the surface of our planet would be as lifeless as Mars. But those shields aren't perfect, and they're weakening. Scientists have detected thinning ozone layers and disturbances in the magnetic field caused by solar storms. As radiation levels fluctuate, our exposure increases. The sun doesn't have to flare violently to harm us. It just has to keep shining. Astronauts know this danger all too well. Beyond the protection of Earth's magnetic field, every particle of solar radiation becomes a bullet. It seeps into spacecraft, damages electronics, and penetrates living tissue. Extended exposure in deep space could cause cancer, blindness, or death, even inside a ship. Every living creature on Earth is marked by the sun's radiation in some way. Over millions of years, evolution has shaped life to adapt. Skin colors, eyes, behaviors, all responding to solar energy. Humanity itself is an echo of the sun's influence. But as we play with technology and atmosphere, that balance shifts. Solar radiation doesn't just affect biology, it also messes with our machines. GPS errors, signal interference, and even computer failures often trace back to invisible bursts from the sun. Our entire digital infrastructure is vulnerable to something we can't see, predict, or stop. And yet, we rarely think about it. Every sunrise feels peaceful, not perilous. But every ray of light that touches your face carries ancient fire, radiation that began its journey inside the sun's core millions of years ago. By the time it reaches us, it's both life and death intertwined. We take comfort in that golden glow, never realizing it's a storm made visible, a storm that never ends. The Earth spins through it, protected for now, but the shield won't last forever, because the sun's story isn't one of light alone. One day, its gentle warmth will turn violent. The glow that cradles life will ignite the apocalypse, because one day, the sun's fire will fade, and what comes next will decide the fate of every planet it ever touched. Is the sun dying? What will really happen when it reaches the end? Every star, no matter how mighty, carries an expiration date, even our sun. It was born 4.6 billion years ago from a cloud of gas and dust, igniting into the brilliant furnace that gave us life. But that fire cannot last forever. One day, the fuel will run out, and the heart of our solar system will begin to die. Right now, the sun is stable, halfway through its life. It burns hydrogen into helium, keeping a perfect balance between gravity and pressure. But that balance is temporary. In about 5 billion years, the hydrogen at its core will be gone. The sun will begin to change, growing unstable and strange. As the fuel runs out, the sun will start to fuse helium instead. This process releases even more energy, causing the star to expand dramatically. The once peaceful orb in our sky will swell into a red giant, a monstrous, swollen version of itself. Its surface will stretch millions of kilometers into space, devouring everything in its path. Mercury will vanish first, consumed instantly. Then Venus, melted into plasma. The Earth will face a slower death. The heat will boil the oceans, burn the atmosphere, and turn the ground into lava. Mountains will melt. Air will ignite. The very crust of our planet will disintegrate under a sky of fire. If we're lucky, the expanding sun will stop just short of our orbit. But even then, no life could survive. The Earth would be a glowing ember, its history erased. The solar system as we know it would be gone, leaving only fragments, a scar in space where life once flourished. Scientists can predict this transformation with chilling precision. They've seen it happen across the galaxy, stars swelling, devouring planets, and then fading into silence. It's the cosmic cycle of birth, destruction, and rebirth. The sun, like all stars, is just a temporary flame in an endless night. But there's something haunting about this inevitability. The sun doesn't know what it means to live or die. It simply burns until it can't anymore. When that final phase begins, no prayer, no technology, no miracle will stop it. Humanity, if it still exists, will have to find a new home or face extinction. And yet, even in its death, the sun will not go quietly. Its last act will be its most spectacular, a violent transformation that will light up the galaxy one final time. Because before the sun dies, it will become a monster, a devourer of worlds. The final transformation, how the sun will devour Mercury, Venus, and maybe Earth. When the sun becomes a red giant, it will swell to more than 200 times its current size. Its fiery surface will stretch beyond the orbit of Mercury, then Venus, engulfing them completely. For those distant enough to survive, it will be the most terrifying and magnificent sight in cosmic history, a sky consumed by flame. The sun's color will change from yellow to deep crimson. Its light will grow dimmer, but its heat will intensify beyond comprehension. The inner planets will be torn apart, their fragments melting into streams of molten rock. The solar system will become a graveyard of vaporized worlds. Earth's fate remains uncertain. Some models suggest it might escape total engulfment, drifting just outside the sun's expanding atmosphere. But survival would be meaningless. The heat alone would make the planet's surface hotter than molten steel. No ocean, no air, no life, only fire. And then, after consuming everything it can, the sun will collapse. It will shed its outer layers into space, creating a glowing halo of gas, a planetary nebula, beautiful yet deadly. At the center, what remains will shrink into a white dwarf, a dense, fading ember that once was our star. That white dwarf will still shine faintly for billions of years, slowly cooling into darkness. The solar system will become quiet, a collection of frozen rocks orbiting a dying light. It's a fate written in the laws of physics, one that no civilization can outrun. But in that destruction, there's creation. The gases expelled by the sun will drift through space, forming new stars, new planets, and maybe one day new life. The atoms that once belonged to Earth will become part of another world. In death, the sun gives birth again. It's a poetic truth of the universe. Every ending feeds a beginning. The sun's fire forged the elements in our bodies, and its final breath will scatter them back to the cosmos. We are not separate from it. We are its echo, waiting to return. If humans still exist then, perhaps living among the stars, they'll look back at the red glow of their ancient home and whisper, "That's where we began." Because even as the sun dies, its story continues, not in light, but in memory, in stardust, in us. But the sun's end may already be foreshadowed. Strange signs have begun to appear on its surface, and scientists can't explain them. Strange signals from the sun. Is it changing? In recent years, scientists have noticed something unsettling. The sun, long thought to be predictable, is showing patterns that defy expectations. Its magnetic poles are shifting faster than before, sunspots are appearing in unusual regions, and mysterious holes are opening across its surface, gateways where solar wind escapes at incredible speed. These coronal holes are massive, some larger than the Earth itself. They spew streams of charged particles that rush through space, creating storms that reach our planet days later. But their frequency has increased in strange ways, leaving scientists puzzled. Is the sun entering a new phase, or behaving in ways we don't yet understand? NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory has recorded flashes and pulses on the sun that don't fit any known pattern. It's as if the sun is changing its rhythm, beating faster, then slowing down. Even the magnetic field seems unstable, sometimes reversing in unpredictable intervals. For something that defines time and energy itself, such irregularity is deeply unsettling. Some researchers speculate these anomalies might signal the start of a magnetic flip, a natural event where the sun's north and south poles swap places. It happens every 11 years, but recent signs suggest the next one could be unusually intense. When it occurs, the sun's magnetic field weakens temporarily, leaving the solar system more vulnerable to cosmic radiation. But not everyone agrees. A few scientists believe the sun is entering a grand minimum, a period of low activity, similar to the Maunder minimum of the 1600s, when the Earth experienced a mini ice age. Others predict the opposite, a surge in activity that could trigger more powerful flares and storms than ever before. Both possibilities are dangerous. What if the sun is evolving in a way we've never seen before? It's easy to forget that we've only been studying it closely for a fraction of its lifespan. To the universe, our knowledge is still a blink of an eye. Maybe the sun has cycles beyond human comprehension, rhythms that span not centuries but millennia. Every strange signal, every unexplained fluctuation feels like a whisper from a living entity. It's as if the sun is communicating through light and magnetism, telling us something we're not yet able to hear. The closer we look, the more it feels aware. Not conscious, perhaps, but purposeful, as though it responds to something greater. Astronomers remain cautious, but there's an undeniable unease. The sun has always been a constant, the one thing we could rely on. If it's truly changing in unpredictable ways, the consequences could reshape everything from weather patterns to human technology to life itself. The truth is simple and terrifying. We still don't understand the star we depend on most. And maybe deep down, we're not supposed to. Because the sun's greatest secret isn't how it burns, it's why it burns. And that question leads us to the final paradox of existence itself. The paradox of life and destruction. Why we depend on what can erase us. The sun is both creator and destroyer, the ultimate paradox of existence. Without it, there is no light, no warmth, no life. Yet with it, there is danger, chaos, and the certainty of an ending. Every sunrise is a reminder that the same fire that gave us birth will one day consume us. We are children of a doomed star. Think about it. Everything you've ever known, every mountain, ocean, and living being, exists because of the sun's energy. Yet that same energy is slowly killing us. It erodes our atmosphere, burns our skin, and destabilizes our planet in ways we barely comprehend. Creation and destruction, perfectly balanced. This duality defines the universe. Stars explode to forge new worlds. Death gives rise to life. Even the atoms in your body were born in the heart of a long-dead star, billions of years before the sun existed. You are, quite literally, made of ancient light. You are a memory of explosions. The sun teaches us that power and fragility can coexist. It shows that beauty often hides destruction, that what gives can also take. And maybe that's the point. Maybe life isn't meant to exist without danger. Maybe existence itself is the dance between survival and annihilation. For humanity, the sun is both God and executioner. We praise it, worship its warmth, and build our lives around its light. But we also fear it, the storms, the radiation, the inevitability of its death. In that fear lies understanding. To live is to accept the terms of light. When the sun finally dies, its story won't end. Its elements will drift across space, becoming the seeds of future stars. Somewhere in another galaxy, new suns will rise, new planets will form, and maybe new beings will look up at their sky and wonder where it all began. They won't know that their light once belonged to us. They won't know that our sun lived, burned, and died so theirs could exist. But in that endless cycle, nothing is truly lost. Energy doesn't die. It transforms, just as we will. The sun doesn't just light the sky. It lights the truth, that existence is fragile, beautiful, and temporary. We live in its warmth, we fear its wrath, and one day we'll return to its ashes. So next time you see the sunrise, remember, you're not just watching a star. You're witnessing your own story, one written in fire, bound by time, and destined to end in light.